Always great to catch up with a friend of the program, the pride of Baldwin, New York, a man who's very happy these days because the Islanders are killing it in the National Hockey League. The one and only Christopher J. Weidman joining us off the bat.
Hey, what's up, Ariel?
How are you, Chris? How's everything?
I am good. How are you?
How about those Islanders, huh?
How about them Islanders, man? Yeah, they're looking really good. I'm talking about. We had Boy Chuck stop by the gym the other day. And, it's always good seeing him. Yeah, because a lot of times they practice at Nassau Coliseum, and it's right around the block from our gym. So sometimes they'll stop in, say what's up, and it's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm used to you Islanders fans like jumping on the bandwagon around April, not usually November, but now I see my timeline filled with Islanders stuff, so this is great. I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, look at these lovely photos of the family over here. This is great stuff.
This is beautiful.
How about this
yeah,
little montage? We're trying to get you cry right off the bat here. It always helps when we show the kids.
So I already know your next question.
What's the next question?
So Chris, listen, it's not anything new. It's not anything surprising that you haven't been doing too well in your last few fights, and I just want to know, what is it like to wake up in the morning and see your kids and have to tell them that you're losing? You're a loser.
No.
What is that like?
I mean,
am I on?
No, totally off. But if you want to answer that,
I'm crying. I'm making myself cry.
It's a great question, by the way. I would love to know the answer to the question, but that wasn't going to be my next one.
All right, yeah, it's not a good question. I'm not interested.
Okay, all right. We'll build up to that. No, but let me ask you, we're around a little over a month removed from that fight against Dominick Reyes. You've obviously had some time. You went away. I saw you were cornering some fights this past weekend. Congratulations to the team on the couple of victories there. But how do you feel about what transpired in Boston a month and a half or so later?
It definitely stings. Just go out there and. Against a top prospect like that, and a good win over him would potentially get me a fight with John Jones, and then a loss was devastating. To now people right away, it's like, is he going to retire? So it's just crazy. The contrast on what happens when you win or when you lose is just insane in this game, and it's just frustrating just to make a rookie mistake like I made in that fight, throwing that right hand, just kind of lunging in. I felt good in the fight. I felt good leading up. The camp was great. No excuses. I mean, he landed a beautiful left hand, step back, and cracked me good. But the good thing is I came out unscathed. Not injured. No concussion symptoms. Body felt great. So right away, the next Tuesday, I was back into training. So it feels good to not have so much time off like I'm used to. I've had a lot of injuries, obviously, over my career. And I've had a lot of time off, and to not have to deal with that is nice.
So for the uninformed, what was the mistake that you made with that right hand?
I didn't set it up with anything. I didn't have the range. I wasn't even close to landing it. I just kind of jumped in. I seen him. I jumped in with the right hand, and he slid back and cracked me with the left. He's southpaw, so it's just a basic mistake. I should have set it up with my jab. Get my range first, take my time. I was a little bit too, I felt good in there. So I just felt like I wanted to, I'm going after this guy instead of kind of being a little bit more patient, setting up my offense.
A lot was made of the fact that you were moving up to 205. This was something that was discussed for quite some time. In there against a fellow 205 or a big 205, or how did you feel not having to cut as much weight? Did you feel like this was the right move for you?
It felt really nice not to cut weight and to go through the whole camp, kind of listening to my body on what I feel like I need as far as nutrition and so being able to give it that, and I didn't feel like he was much, stronger than me or anything like that. I didn't feel weak for the weight or anything like that. I was actually surprised. I'm always kind of thinking worst case scenarios. And when I did grab him, I did feel like the stronger guy. So, it wasn't like, I felt small in there, but it's a game we play.
There was some talk that you win this fight, you get John Jones. Was there any part of you now in hindsight that felt like maybe I was looking past Dominick? I was being asked too much about John. I mean, you're being asked about him, so it's not like you're coming out and talking about him, but every time you are asked about him and answer something about him, it becomes a big thing, and then he's responding to you. Did that take your focus away from Dominick at all?
Nah, definitely not. I knew Dominic was a tough fight. I knew there's a bunch of things, a bunch of areas, in his game that I could exploit, and I wasn't able to do that. So it's just disappointing. But I definitely didn't look past him or anything like that. The John Jones stuff, talking about that was just fun, and I really did see that as a motivating factor that I get a big W in this fight. I'm fighting for the title against John Jones. It would have been great for me. So
There, there,
it wasn't something that affected me though.
there's always pressure, as you know. You don't need me to tell you about, the life of a fighter. When you walk into that cage, there's pressure. But now, at this point in your career, which is honestly unfair. Unfortunately, you're not the only fighter to go through this. It's like a referendum on your career each and every time you fight. You fight, you slip, you lose. Oh, you should retire. Who cares that you're still in your early 30s? Oh, you're done. You're shot. All this stuff. Does that add to the pressure as well? Like, there's enough on your shoulders to actually go in there and fight another human being. But now that it has to be decided whether or not you should continue each and every time you fight, does that get to be a little tiring?
I don't know. That's a good question. It definitely is a thought that runs through your mind. Um, I don't know if it's additional pressure. I just feel like pressure is always kind of like at the same level, and it gets filled in with different thoughts. And if I was undefeated and I was fighting for the belt, that pressure would be the same to win that fight. But I might have different thoughts running through my head to get to that level of pressure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it wasn't like additional pressure, but it's just like different thoughts that run through your mind when you're coming off a loss or losses, and you have a lot of speculation on where you're at in your career from people being critical. So
But if I can compare it to like an everyday person, compare it to a doctor, a lawyer, myself, I have one bad day. Okay, I come back next week and I do another show. You have one bad night. Oh, you're done. You're shot. You should retire. And you have to like look at people write this to you on your social media and stuff like that. That must be suffocating, right? I mean, I can't imagine going through that.
no, that's definitely the hardest part about our sport, is that it takes so long to get back into the octagon, whether you're injured or just the fact that you have to wait for a fight to be promoted. Like I always say, you lose a basketball game, you have a couple bad games in a row, you get that next opportunity right away to shut people up. In MMA, you're defined by your last fight. That's how people see you. And so you're always rushing to get back in there to kind of like make that wrong right. And if you're coming off a loss, so that's annoying. That you just have to deal with the critics for so long, and that you have to wait a long time to shut them up. They're not in your training sessions. You can't prove it to them while you're working out. You got to wait till you're back in that octagon to make it right. And that is annoying.
They posted this scene on ESPN MMA social media. It was from the Destin series where they followed you guys before and after the fight. And there's that one scene after. I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, where it's really hard to watch. I mean, just knowing you, knowing your family, but you see all the familiar faces there: your wife, your son, your dad, your head coach Ray Longo, and like, man, I can't imagine in that moment how you're feeling. You even go to the point where you're apologizing to them, and they're telling you you don't have to apologize, and you could see the frustration on your face. And I was reminded of a conversation that I had with Tyron Woodley recently, where he says he doesn't allow his kids to come to the fights because they saw him once get knocked out by Nate Marquardt, and he said never again. And you have them in there as close as possible. Do you regret that? Does that make things worse? Like them seeing you like that? Would you rather they just not see you like that in hindsight and just be home and you could talk to them when you're ready?
So yeah, this is the first time I've ever had my kids come to the fights, and they didn't actually they weren't in the arena. Well, they were in the arena, but they were backstage, like in like the green room with my wife. So my wife wasn't out in the stands as well, and so I didn't really see them before the fight or during the fight or initially right after the fight. They came to my locker room when I got back in, and obviously it's hard to see your kids. They're very excited to see you win. And then you have to, they know you lost, and they're trying to hold back their tears, which is probably the hardest part, is to see that they're trying to stay mentally strong and suppress their emotions. And I'm like, it's part of the game. And no, I to answer your question, I don't regret it at all. And I was always scared of this moment, but I don't regret it at all, because at the end of the day, they're gonna lose in their life, whether it be MMA fights or just losing in general, whatever they decide to do. And you have to. It was my responsibility in that moment of you know of just losing in front of lots of people, to show them how you deal with a loss. And so it put extra pressure on me to, use it as a teaching moment for my kids that, you don't be a sore loser. Losing happens, and you hold your head up high, and you get right back to where you were, and you keep that same confidence, keep working hard, and don't lose sight of your goals. You know, so I use it as a teaching moment. And as far as like my coaches and parents and everybody being in there, it's just frustrating. And I say sorry and I apologize to them, because it's not like I'm this delusional guy saying, I think I could beat John Jones, and people looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. Uh, which is what happens when I say things like that. And it was the way they looked at me before when I said I was going to beat Anderson Silva too. But the people that are in that locker room with me, they see me train every day, and they believe in me, and they believe I'm capable of doing these things that I'm saying. And so I'm sorry to them that I didn't accomplish and do what they felt in their heart that I could do. And so it's not like I'm just saying sorry to say sorry. I know they love me no matter what, and they got my back no matter what. And it's just a frustrating thing to see uh, the potential, of me not be reached in that given fight. Because at the end of the day, it's like a percentage game. I go in there with Dominick Reyes. What's the percentage that I win? We're fighting one time. Um, there's definitely different days that I get in that cage with him and I win. I know that for a fact. But that day it wasn't, and it's just frustrating. That's why I love this sport too. It's because the lows are super low and the highs are like crazy high. So yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that was the first time that your kids actually came to one of your fights, because I've seen your son cage side, for Wonder Boy or just with you when you're a guest fighter. Why did you decide that this was the one that they should come to?
Yeah, I always refused. Like when I saw other fighters bring their kids to fights, I'm like, oh man, I could never do that. I can't imagine seeing my kids and then go walking into that octagon. Um, but as it kind of was like a last minute thing. Like my son CJ, he's getting to the age now. He's 7. He's super into sports, all sports, but MMA and football and wrestling are definitely like his top ones. And he was asking. I mean, he's seen Max Holloway bring out his son. He's seen Frankie Edgar bring out his son. He's like, Daddy, why can't I go? And he's pretty mature. He understands that you win and you lose, and it's just part of the game. And so as we got closer, I'm like, you know what? I think to give him that experience might be really cool for him. And I would regret maybe not giving him that experience at some point, because when he does get older, when he's 18 and he's old enough to do things like that on his own, I'm not going to probably be fighting. I definitely won't be fighting. So to give him that opportunity was something I wanted to do. And I think he really enjoyed it. And even though it didn't work out the way we all wanted, it was a really cool experience for him. And for my daughter and for my other son Colton. But they're just Cassidy, my daughter Cassidy, she's older, but she's not super into the fighting, obviously, like
Right.
CJ is. And my younger guy Colton, he's 4. He's Daddy, you beat him up? And no, Daddy didn't beat him up. Oh, okay. And he's on to the next thing.
Right.
You don't know.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Are you going to continue to fight?
Yeah, definitely continuing to fight. That's not in question at all in me. I feel great. I've been through shit in this career. At the end of the day, when I do retire, I know I gave everything to the sport. I gave everything to the sport of wrestling. I've been through hell, from my body. I've had 23 surgeries, you know, but I feel good right now. Like that sounds crazy, but I feel really good. My body feels good. The fact that I could get right back to the training and do what I love to do. Um, yeah, I just feel like I'm still capable of some big things. And for all you haters out there, you might not see it now, but I proved this. I plan on proving that. So, I mean, I don't know how much longer I have, not that much longer. You know, I'm excited to move on and do other things too. I see that in the future, but not yet. Not yet.
Have you decided?
I yeah. Go ahead.
Will your next
I
fight
know
be
your
at
next
205 or 185?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I don't know yet. So I still actually, I know it's been a little over a month now, but I haven't sat down my coaches or management actually yet and discussed this, like, and got serious about what I'm doing next. Just because I came back to training right away. Obviously, the first week you don't really talk about. Hello?
Yeah, we're still here.
I got someone on the phone here talking to me, Ariel.
Uh-oh. What are they saying?
It's your people talking in my ear, like they're loud and clear.
Okay.
Uh,
You good now? Do you hear them?
I think no, we're good now.
All right. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. What was I saying?
205 or 185, and you said you hadn't talked.
Yeah. So the first week, it's like, we're not going to talk about the next fight or the future. And then I went away for 2 weeks to Hawaii, visited a bunch of my wife's family out there. And then when I got back, I just got back to training. And then we plan on probably talking this week and figuring it out, just looking at the divisions, see possibilities. I can make 85 again. 205 was fun. It's less stressful. And I don't feel like I could beat anybody up there. But we just got to kind of look at the divisions and figure it out. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's going to go back, if I'm going to go back down to 85 or stay up at 205.
What are you leaning towards? Yeah. Are you leaning towards one or the other?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of it's a tough situation. I don't know. I'm kind of like in no man's land right here, right now, and I don't know. I see, I don't. I don't know. I like one day I start leaning towards 205, and then the next day I'm thinking 85. I don't know. One part of me, starts feeling like, yeah, I don't mind. Should I just keep pushing myself to get down to 85? Don't be lazy now. I'm not gonna be fighting forever. Push through and focus on my nutrition and do the right thing. Get down to 85, and then I'm, not gonna be too much smaller than anybody. And then at 205, I'm healthier and I'm going against guys that could be a little bit bigger than me, but I really do feel like when I grab these guys, as far as the wrestling, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe stand up. Maybe that's why I got hit in that last fight. Maybe the range from having a taller fighter, I leaped in. I didn't take my time. I wasn't used to that, going against a taller guy. It's the first time really doing that. I don't know. So obviously, I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now. You help think it through. I'm not. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of like really depend on my coaches and my close friends. I want to hear what everybody has to say and kind of get some help on that one. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think I should do?
Oh my. Well, I was actually just going to ask, how much do you weigh right now?
I'm like in the mornings I'm like 218, which I kind of was that during the whole camp.
Okay.
So which is what I was when I was like, I actually used to get heavier when I was at 85 in between fights. I got better at not being such a fat ass in between fights. Like I used to try to eat as much as possible. Now as I got older, I just like, I know how fucking shitty you feel after eating 3 specialty slices and a chicken roll. So I'm trying to I just don't do that as much.
I hear you.
I'll still eat crap, but I just don't overeat as much. So my weight doesn't get up as crazy. So I'm like floating around like anywhere between 217 and like 221. Not dieting at all.
Do you believe in the theory that like your chin has regressed, that you can't take a punch as well as you once did, and you feel like cutting the weight or not cutting the weight helps that or hurts that?
I mean, I'm open-minded to everything and every belief, and I definitely think fighters' chins just kind of dissipate over time if they've gotten a lot of wars and been knocked out. Especially if I see them get knocked out completely cold, I feel like that does it more based on what I've seen. I don't think that is. I've never been knocked out cold, even though I've been hit with some monster shots. This last one was kind of like a flash knockdown. Like I was completely coherent. Remember everything inside that fight. I remember like everything. I remember as soon as he hit me with that shot, I'm on my back and I'm like trying to work the move that we were working in the back. Which wasn't a smart idea. I was grabbing for his heel to work some type of leg lock sweep. But I think that is a thing. I don't think that's me. I mean, listen, it's like I don't have much chance. I haven't had a chance to really prove it in that fight. I got hit with one good shot and I went down, and he finished me off. So it's hard to like say. Do I have a chin in sparring? It's one of those things you can't. I don't know how to answer that. It's really hard. I still think I could take a bat over the head and keep walking as long as I see that thing coming. So that's kind of my mentality. But yeah,
Okay.
and as far as the dehydration and like dehydrating your brain close to a fight, and then them saying that you get knocked out easier because you're cutting too much weight. I don't know if that was like a thing with me people were discussing, but that's been a thing that people you know uh, you know discuss. I I don't know.
Okay. In a
I don't
perfect
know.
world, when do you want to return?
I don't think that was affecting me down at that weight. In a perfect world, I mean, I'm healthy already. I'm February, something
Okay.
like that. February,
So
March.
quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. I listen. I know it sounds crazy. You just got knocked out. What are you coming back quick for? But um, it wasn't like I got knocked out cold. Literally, like legs went out from underneath me. He's hitting me with shots, and I remember the whole thing. I don't think it's one of those. I had no concussion symptoms. Like I've had concussion symptoms over the years from some of my fights, and like when your brain needs a rest. This time it wasn't that situation at all. Um, and I haven't been sparring, getting hit in the head. I'm pretty smart when it comes to that. I'm giving the brain a rest, but um, I don't think it was that bad of a shot. Like where I'm hurt, I didn't get hit that much and that badly.
Well, I loved, as I told you, I loved the Instagram post that you posted afterwards. How you shoved it back, to all the haters. I'm happy you're at peace with what transpired, and I wish you the best. It's always great to talk to you and to get your thoughts, win or lose. You're always very gracious, Chris. So I appreciate it very much. Let's keep in contact. Let's see what the
Thank
next
you.
step is. Thank you very much for
Oh yeah.
coming on as always, and happy Thanksgiving to the family as well.
Thank you, and congrats on everything that you're accomplishing, buddy. It's awesome to see you just rising through the ranks. You're crushing it, and also congrats on getting Gina Carano finally on the show.
Thank you.
Um, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Do you celebrate Thanksgiving? You
Sure.
are American
Why
now,
not?
right?
No, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
American
you
now.
should.
Yeah,
And
it's for
all right,
everyone.
guys, and I just want to say thank you to all the supporters out there who supported me through the thick and the thin, and I really appreciate it. And I hear you guys. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. We'll talk to you very soon.
All right.
All the best to you. There he is, Chris Weidman, the former UFC middleweight champion, man who produced two of the greatest moments, and one in particular back at UFC 162 against Anderson Silva, that great knockout that we will always remember. Looking forward to seeing what his next step is and whether or not it will be at 205 or 185. So that's Chris Weidman's story. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.